Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Johan and I'm a Dutchie, and I want to learn about life and living in Australia by watching videos about life and living in Australia. And together with my community that's ever growing, I learn a lot about life and living in Australia because it's way down there, down under, and I'm afraid of flying. So this is for me the best way for now to learn how it really is in Australia. And for today, we're going to take a look at a video from Louisa McQueen. Things nobody tells you living in Australia, and an Australian after leaving my country. So she is an expat from I don't know where, but things nobody tells you about Australia. Well, I have a large Australian community behind me, so they can confirm or deny if these things are correct or not. So let's dive into the video.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be about the things that you might want to think about before moving to Australia. These are just a few points that I jotted down that maybe you would like to take into consideration if you are moving to Australia, immigrating, or you just are curious about what Australia is really like.
Okay, the final part is my part. Curious about how Australia is really like. Yeah. But it's more immigration tips. So take a notice if you want to go to
a quick Google search on this topic, and I couldn't really find any in-depth points that would really show you what it would sort of be like to live in Australia. And so this video is there for those who are maybe thinking of immigrating to Australia and just kind of want to get a feel of what the negatives might be. These might not be negatives for you. They're not necessarily all negatives for me, but it might be something to consider. I am an Australian currently living in South Africa. I love Australia. It'll always be my home.
Oh, so she moved out of Australia. Okay, looking back too.
And so I kind of want to put a little disclaimer out there to also say, I'm really sorry if this offends you in any way. It's not meant to be there to offend anybody. It's more just supposed to be educational. So I hope that this video is useful. Without further ado, let's get into the points. The first point that I want to get into is that Australia is quite an expensive country. I know that it is all relative in comparison to what you earn, but somebody coming, for instance, from South Africa and taking their rand with them to Australia, it's quite a large conversion and you don't really get that much out at the end of the day. Even as an Australian living in Australia, certain things are really pricey. For instance, renting is really expensive. Also, like going out for food is expensive. Going to do certain activities are really expensive. I know when we were there recently, we went to the aquarium and I think the entrance was something like $50-something per person, which is crazy. I think in
50 Australian dollars, yeah. But expensive is such a relative term. It's depends on how much you earn and what is your living space like. How much money do you have left over after all your expenses are paid for? So how much living money do you have? And yeah, if it's not that much after you, then of course everything you do is a bit expensive. Like I don't have that much living money after I have paid all my expenses. So for me, I'm very careful of what I'm paying money to. So it all depends on whatever and how much money you have. So being expensive is in the eye of the beholder, I say. If somebody is, for example, a millionaire, he doesn't care about $50 for, but if somebody has hardly a job like we did a couple of weeks ago, if you're working in a hospital, being a nurse, or being an educator, a teacher, then yeah, then it's relative. It's expensive. Or she talking about is being expensive as in quality, what you get for your money. That could be.
Rand, that comes something down to almost like 600 Rand a person, which is really expensive. So it is quite pricey to go and do things in Australia. However, a lot of activities are free. So we also need to keep that in mind. Point number 2 is that there is not really a lot of domestic help in the home. I'm not sure if you're aware, but in South Africa, it is quite common to have somebody come into the home a few days a week. Some people even have every day of the week to come and help with the domestic work. So, you know, clean floors, do dishes, do washing, make the beds, anything you sort of need. It's also quite common if you have children to have like a nanny. Some households even have a cleaning person and a nanny and a gardener. So there's really a lot of help.
Yeah, then you have a lot of money to spend if you can hire a nanny, a cleaning lady, and a gardener. But going back to, I do not know. That's something I have to go give back to you guys. If there is a possibility to have a cleaning lady once a week, or like my sister, she has a severe handicap, so somebody is really helping her twice a week with cleaning the house. Is that not possible in Australia? Question mark. I don't know.
Help here. And I guess it's a good form of job creation as well, because although the job is really hard, it takes a lot of work to keep a house clean, you don't need to have an education for it. So I think it's a good thing in that sense, because we can both help each other out. We have a cleaning lady that comes 3 days a week, and it is honestly a lifesaver. She is such an amazing person. She comes and helps us in the home, and I must say it takes a lot off of our plate. Whereas I know that when we were in Australia, you have to worry a lot more about the domestic work. It's quite a stress. You spend your weekends cleaning, after work cleaning. You probably don't clean as much maybe as you do here, because it's not, I mean, growing up, I was never accustomed to that, and I don't remember it really being an issue.
Ooh, ooh. Oh boy. Should I continue with this video? Oh, I can read the comments already. Okay, continue.
And so I think, you know, we all sort of helped out in the household. My brother would vacuum, I would mop, my mom would do the washing, you know, so we all helped, which I'm not saying people don't help here in South Africa, but it's a lot more to do, and it's a big one for me if we were ever to move to Australia, because I know it would impact my overall stress level a lot. Wow, that was a long point.
Yeah, but it's part of living in a house. You have to do some cleaning. It's yeah, but it's on your own if you do it every day. If you do it every day, several hours, it's once every 2 days enough. But washing your own clothes, yeah, it's cleaning your bed sheet, and does you want anyone else to help her shower?
Third point. This is leading back to point number 1 of things being quite expensive. So to be able to go and do your hair on a regular basis, maybe go get massages, anything that kind of involves manual labor in Australia is really expensive. I found when we were there, I kind of just didn't do those things at all. Whereas in South Africa, I kind of am able to afford to put that into my budget a lot more than I can in Australia. Of course, it all comes down to what you earn and what your budget is. And so I guess it's quite relative. But for me, that was quite a big one, because, you know, here we're quite accustomed, and I know I am super fortunate. Not everybody is able to do this, but, you know, able to every so often get nails done, do my hair, go get a massage, be able to sort of enjoy the luxuries of life is a lot more expensive in Australia. It's not to say that people don't do it. Of course, it's done a lot, but it's pricey. Point number 4 is a little bit...
Yeah. I know I should have a response to this. It's my job as giving a reaction, but entitlement is something that pops up in my head. Something like that.
Of a sensitive topic, and so I really hope that this doesn't offend anyone. But personally, I find...
She already did. I guess a lot of will react as in being already offended by the first 3 points.
And I am Australian, so I feel like it's sort of okay for me to say this. However, I have changed a lot in the last 9 years. But Australians are quite sensitive. And what I mean by that is when having conversations with people, one is not always really direct with how things are said. I'm not saying we always beat around the bush, but things are sort of said in a more sensitive way. I mean, and when you have conversations there, you also need to be careful to be just like really politically correct about the way you say certain things. Whereas I find in South Africa, people have maybe a bit more of a tough skin and are a lot more straightforward. This was something that I think my family and friends and things struggled a lot with my husband, because he is very straightforward. It might just...
Yeah, Dutch. It was also, no, it was not also, because Australia is not a Dutch colony, but South Africa was a Dutch colony. So yeah, directness is part of our culture and our DNA. Like I'm very direct. So yeah, I can imagine that in South Africa, the same directness will be there.
Just be him. I don't know. You let me know in the comments below if you have experienced this. But I do find in Australia, you do need to be a lot more careful with what you say and a little bit more sensitive with the way that you bring points across, which can be kind of difficult if you're moving from a country. I know like in, I think it's like Denmark or Sweden, is it? Where people are also like really direct. They'll just like tell you what they think. I know Germany is also quite similar to that, not necessarily in a horrible way, but you know, for instance, if I'm wearing a dress and I ask my husband, do you think this looks good on me? And he says like, no, I don't think that really looks that great. I think you should wear something else.
Yeah, okay. But she forgot the Netherlands. We are #1 in Europe about directness. Not even the Germans, not even Norwegian and Sweden. We are known for our direct honesty response. Yeah. But against your wife. Yeah.
Previously, on my Australian side of thinking, I would have probably been kind of offended and been like, oh, he doesn't think I'm pretty, like maybe I look too fat, or maybe this, or of course I've grown a lot in the meantime, but now I've kind of gotten so used to that. I know that it's not a personal attack, and so I kind of just say, cool, thanks for being honest. Like, I'll rather wear something that I know I feel comfortable in, that like looks really good. And so that's kind of what I mean by that point. Mm-hmm. Point number 5 is also a little bit more sensitive, and this kind of comes down to overall manners and respect of people in the country. And I don't know if this kind of comes down to language. You would have to let me know in the comments below if it is so in African languages. I'm not really aware of that, but I know in Afrikaans it's very polite, or the way that you greet somebody who's either older than you and that you maybe don't know them. You would say Tannie or if you speak to them. Did I say that right? I think so. Which is like saying auntie or uncle. The same goes with German. If you are going to speak to somebody who is older than you or somebody that you don't know, you would address them with Sie instead of du. So it's like the polite version. You wouldn't say you to somebody. It's, I don't know, there's no translation.
With in German, Sie oder du, möchtest du oder möchte sie eine Bier oder möchten sie oder möchte kein Problem, würde ich sagen, auf Deutsch. That's not a problem. It's not more respectful to say möchten sie oder möchtest du. No. She's not right.
In English, so I don't know how to explain that. Maybe it comes down to language, but I do feel like people in South Africa are really aware of being very polite, especially the children, to older people. And I experienced this quite a lot using public transport. We didn't have a car while we were there for the 11 months that we were there. And so we used a lot of public transport. We used the tram and the bus system, which was really efficient, but I did find, and I was very pregnant there, so I went through my entire pregnancy there, and I found that oftentimes like people would be sitting or standing in the area that was designated for the elderly or the pregnant, and they would see you coming in and like not move and kind of just like look at you, put the headphones in and sort of continue on. And I found that like really strange, because I do feel that in South Africa stuff like that just wouldn't happen. People are a lot more aware and polite and wanting to really respect those around them. And I'm not saying all Australians are like this. Please, I don't want to paint everybody under the same umbrella. Is that a saying? I don't think that's a saying. You know what I mean? Don't want to paint them all with the same brush. But we did come across people just being a little bit more disrespectful and rude. We had a situation where we went to the mall once, went to the movies, and you know, there were a group of young kids that kind of like would be just swearing and being loud on their skateboards and their scooters, and we witnessed them like push past this elderly woman, and you know, she was sort of taken aback, and my husband and I just looked at each other and were like, did that just happen? Oh my goodness. And I've never seen that in South Africa. It probably...
Did you say anything about it? Did you approach those kids and say, from whatever you're doing, it's not okay? But no, you stand aside, you look, you form an opinion, but you don't act. So, but it's all over. I don't think that this is specifically for Australia. It's kind of rudeness you see everywhere. But my Australians can react to this if it's specifically more serious in Australia than it is, for example, in Germany or here in Holland or in the Netherlands. I have to say, in the Netherlands or anywhere else in the world, I don't think so. The only difference that I know, that it's when she's talking about public transport, that it's polite in Australia to say thank you to the driver when you're leaving the bus. So that's something that we not do over here in the Netherlands by default. Some people do, I do, but a lot of people don't, especially not the youth. So I don't know if it's really something that it's in public transport. I don't think that this is specifically something that is not good, not positive about living in Australia. It's all over the world, this kind of behavior, this rude behavior.
Probably happens, I'm not sure. I don't know, it's an overall sense I get. Manners and just like being really polite in South Africa is a lot more, I think, regarded highly than it is in Australia. I could be wrong. You can let me know in the comments below. Please don't be offended by this. I really don't mean it to be in an offensive way.
She tries. Yeah. I get it, but...
The next one is a pretty heavy point. I won't be able to say this out loud, and so I will type it up on the screen.
Ooh.
But the abuse of this, I find, is like seen very often in Australia, like out and about when you're in the town.
Yeah, that's because of YouTube. You cannot... But yeah. That's something that I was surprised too, that there is such a severe misuse of this kind of beverage, that that there are such a heavy fines on it, that there is a public restrictions on it that I saw in I lost the city name. Come on, think. In the middle of Australia. Yeah, I have Queensland in my head, but that's not the city name. That's a territory. But yeah, that it's even that the police are standing outside to prevent that certain people get this kind of beverage. Yeah, that's something that I don't know anywhere else in Europe that happens. No.
Town, And I don't know if it's a bigger problem or if it's just a problem that is seen more. In South Africa, of course, we are driving a lot more than using public transport, at least where we are. There's no train systems or anything here where we live at the moment. There is the Gautrain, but that is not in this area. And so
Alice Springs. I had to think about it, but it is Alice Springs. Yeah, what we did a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, the roughness of Alice Springs. Don't forget.
I just feel like you see it a lot more, and I feel personally like it's a problem. I know in teens it's a massive problem in Australia. It might be in South Africa, I'm not sure, but it is a big problem in Australia.
I agree. Yeah, that's something that I don't see anywhere else in Europe. Don't hear about it, and I don't see about it. And I've been in a lot of cities, bigger and smaller cities in all over Europe. I've never seen this kind of misuse of this beverage that I saw in Australia.
So if you are going over with your teens or your kids, that is maybe also one just to kind of keep in mind.
I have taken point number 7 out, as I feel that it may be too controversial to share at this time. Okay. I wonder what this could be after she's talking about the abuse of certain beverages. Okay. Continue on with point. I wonder what point 7 could be. After we have seen 8, 9, and 10, maybe we can think about what 7 could that be.
Point number 8 is religious beliefs. So Australia is a very diverse and multicultural country, which is fantastic. Everybody is welcome. There are so many religions practiced, experienced, out and about. And so going to school, you get to learn about lots of different people's religions, which is fantastic. But growing up or being now in South Africa, it is a lot more Christian based. I know a lot more of the population are actually Christian. Actually, let me quickly Google that and see what the percentage is.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it's a colonization. It's a colony of the Dutch. So, like we had New Amsterdam once, current New York, all kind of religions left the Netherlands to do their own thing in the colonies. So, usually the colonies are more diverse in types of religion, not only Christian, but yeah, all kinds. So I wonder what she's coming up with in the Google search.
So it says, today the majority of South Africans identify as Christian, 84.2%.
80.4. So
that's a really high percentage.
Yeah.
Okay, this is editing me coming back in, and I totally forgot to search how much of the population in Australia are religious and what religions those are. I actually wanted to show you guys, and I'm also curious. As I'm editing this, I thought I might as well quickly do that. I don't know how reliable this is, but it let me know that the Roman Catholic, there are 22% Roman Catholic, other Christians 4.2%, Muslims 2.6%, Buddhist 2.4%, Orthodox 2.3%, Hindu 1.9%, and other 1.1%, and none are 30% of the population that are non-religious. And so I feel like this could be a pretty big point to influence one when moving over there.
yeah, okay. Being an atheist, the last numbers I know over here in the Netherlands is, I believe, 40% or 50%. Let's Google it. That's what it's for. Be right back. Okay. Religious affiliation from 2021, 4 years ago. It's the most recent I can find. So we're talking about Christianity, 44%, no religion, 39%, Islam, 3.2%, Hinduism, 2.7%, and Buddhism, 2.4%. So Christianity and no religion, atheism, is almost 39, let's say also 40%. So, yeah. Okay. What was the point? Take into account that if you move to Australia, that there is a lot of ranges in religion. And that's okay, in my opinion.
Grew up in Australia, and I did not grow up in a Christian home. We believed a lot of different things, I think at different times. I'm not sure how I sort of experienced myself was knowing that there's a greater God, but sort of that he worked through different religions, which I don't believe now myself. You can check out this video if you'd like to. I don't know which side it comes up on my Christian testimony after this video if you'd like to hear a little bit more about that. But I think if you are a Christian household moving from a very Christian-based country, going to Australia, it can sometimes feel really hard to fit in. We had a midwife there during my pregnancy who was South African, and she said in her workplace, she was the only one that was Christian, and she said it was quite hard to fit in. And I can really relate to that. We went to a church there, and it was a really small church community. And we sort of asked around, and it was sort of the general consensus that that was just the size of churches, which would probably be a fifth or sixth of the size of the church that we attend here in South Africa. And so it can feel really hard to fit in, especially if you are going through a really tough time or somebody else is going through a really tough time. I kind of had to catch myself a couple of times and not be like, you know, if you would like, I can really pray for you about this, because I do believe that there is so much power in prayer. However, you have to kind of catch yourself, because if you say it to somebody who's, you know, of a different religion, and I'm not saying everybody in South Africa is Christian, you do have to sort of find that out before you chat to somebody about stuff like this, because it can be a really sensitive topic. But in Australia, you know, people just look at you maybe like you're loony, or just be like kind of weirded out by it. And this is a big point for us. I know if we ever were to move to Australia in the future, I do think this would have a large impact on our life. Our children go to a very Christian-based school. They hear about it. They go to Sunday church, and it's something that's really ingrained kind of in everyday life, which is fantastic about South Africa, I find. For us who are Christian, if you're not Christian, I can understand that this point is not really relevant to you. Of course, it's fantastic that Australia is so diverse and multicultural, but yes, I do think it's something to consider.
I don't know. It's really a problem. That's not to me. That's only the Australians who can answer this. If there is an open mind to people of different religions coming together in a community, I don't know. It's something I cannot. All I can say over here in the Netherlands, we don't care. The only thing we care about at this point in time is the extreme Islamism. That's something that is really hard being fought over here. But if you're Buddhist or Christian or Protestant or none, it doesn't matter. we think, yeah, okay, it's your religion. Okay, so is welcome. Join us for dinner at the company table. And I don't think it's in the Netherlands. I know it's not a problem, except for the extremists, but that's all over the world. So, yeah, but I don't know how it is in Australia. That's only the Australian who can answer this. I can't.
Point number 9 is family involvement. This is something that took me a long time to get used to when I came to South Africa. I just feel like
family involvement. Okay. What does she mean with family involved?
South African families are really intertwined in each other's lives, whereas I feel like the nuclear family in Australia is really important and cherished, but you know, aunts, uncles, grandparents don't really have a major involvement in the life. It might not be that for everybody. It may just be the way we kind of experienced it in our household growing up, which is not necessarily a negative thing, but it might be something to get used to, where it's kind of just like everyone for themselves in a way. I don't know how to really explain this without it coming across as being rude, because I don't mean it to be in a rude way. I feel like it just is a fact for the way I've experienced it growing up there. It's just that I feel like Australian families aren't as involved in each other's lives, in each other's maybe drama or things that are going on as well. Could be personal experience, might not be right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's how much do you care for your family, and it's hard to say. So some families are having more interest in each other, what's going on in each other's life, and care about it not only want to know, but really care about other family members and others. Yeah, maybe something happened. There's a feud. You never know, and then it's not. So it's very personal. Depends from house to house. I would say we call it every house has a cross, as in you don't know what's in the house. Yeah, depends.
But you could take it into consideration if you want. Otherwise, just ignore this point. Now, this is point
Ignore us. Okay, we do.
number 10. It's a pretty big one, so I'm not going to stay on it for too long. But Australia at the moment has like a no jab, no play, no work type of rule in place. And I know
this is 4 years ago. She's talking about Australia 4 years ago. And I have to re-listen to it because I don't understand what she says. No jab, no work, no what?
it's a pretty big one, so I'm not going to stay on it for too long. But Australia at the moment has like a no jab, no play, no work type of rule in place.
No clue what is meant by no jab. No work and no play, I answer, but the combi of all three, I don't get it. That somebody has explained to me.
And I know with the pandemic right now, there's a major issue in Australia with there sort of being like a double standard in society where those who have gotten the jab are able to go to work, go to restaurants, go to cafes, and those who have not are not allowed to do so. The same goes for going to school.
The jab as being inoculated or something like this?
And if you are depending on the government for a subsidy, I can't talk. If you are depending on a subsidy for your children to go to daycare or to go to school, then you cannot do so if your children are not fully up to date on all of their inoculations. Which for those families who maybe are anti-vax or don't, maybe don't get certain vaccinations because of whatever personal reasons, then they can't get a subsidy for that. And often a lot of daycares and schools will not take your children. And I think this is a major issue. I could harp on this for days, but let's not, because I feel like it could be a huge discussion and this video is already going to be really long. But I know with the whole pandemic at the moment, it's a major issue. And I feel like that could be a huge deal if you're thinking of moving to Australia at the moment.
Yeah, okay. If I'm correct, if I understand this discussion correct, that's what she explains to me, that if you're not fully inoculated as an adult or as a child, you are not allowed to do certain stuff, or you don't get subsidized to go to school, or you don't get a nice job, or that sounds rather cruel, and I don't think that any government, any democracy will allow this to be really a problem in the society. My opinion. I don't know if I'm correct, if I'm understanding this correct as she is explaining this, but I don't think that any society can refuse something they are right on as being you can get subsidized if your kids go to daycare. If that is the law, then it doesn't matter if she or he is not fully inoculated. I can understand that there are concerns that maybe he or she brings along some infectious disease that affected other kids, but I don't think that later on, after you have going to school and you have a job, that even you cannot go to certain jobs if you're not inoculated against certain diseases. It seems hard to me and harsh to me if this really is a standard practice in Australia. I don't believe it, but I'm sure that in the comments somebody will react to this. I cannot imagine that this is true. Okay, but we're not at the end. She says 10, but I still see a couple of minutes to
Point
go.
number 11 is that Australia
11.
has a lot of freedom, which is fantastic. However, I do find that teenagers and younger children have really got so much freedom that sometimes I feel like it can actually be a bit of a negative, especially in the teenage years. I myself had a lot of freedom. I started driving at 16, which I was really happy about and fantastic. I think I got a car at 17. My dad bought me my first car, which I'm so grateful for. But I had a lot of freedom. I could do whatever I wanted. Sometimes I was out later, and sometimes I got myself in some more sticky situations. And you can freely walk about a lot more. You can get public transport, and I just feel like sometimes parents aren't aware of what their kids are doing because of the freedom that they're given. And so I find it's a really fine line. Yes, it's a great thing, and it can also be a negative thing. I got myself in some sticky situations, which I feel like maybe being here, I wouldn't have. You can only really drive here at 18, and we were really dependent on my husband's family to drive us around and take us places, and they would pick us up from parties when we were like obviously teenagers and going out and doing things like that or whatever. And in Australia, you could get a taxi home, or you can get there'd be you'd call someone the designated driver or the sober bob if you were going out or whatnot. And I just feel like parents are not as involved. Some are, maybe, I don't know. It's not necessarily, I'm not trying to say my parents were not responsible or anything like that. I think it's just the overall, that's just what it's like there, at least from my experience. So sometimes I feel like teens and, turning into teens, those age children have just like a bit too much freedom.
Okay. Yeah, that's in the eye of the beholder. That depends on what background you have, how much, if we're talking about religion, how religious are you, what kind of environment did you grow up in. And I know the Netherlands, talking over here, the kids are considered here the happiest kids of Europe. So we are in several years number one that we have the kids who are the happiest because we give as parents them a lot of freedom to do a lot. They go to school on their bike when they're 6 or when they're 7. It's something they go, what? Yeah, but what she says, you can get in sticky situations is a good thing because then you learn how to take care of yourself early age. You learn to defend yourself verbally, usually not physically, but you learn how to be in a group, you learn to play with other people. So having a lot of freedom is a good thing to do. When it goes out of hand, that's... I don't see over here in the Netherlands. That's, of course, a part of the parents. And then you have vandalism, but that's, again, all over the world. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's a good thing about having freedom in Australia. And I think that a lot of Australians will agree with me. I hope.
Point number 12 is also another sensitive one. And that is the fact that I personally feel like in Australia, people are like really, really privileged. Not everybody. There are, of course, people who still struggle, but I feel like things like going to
being privileged. That's a very sensitive topic. Oh boy.
School and getting a job are really taken for granted there. At least I took it for granted. There were days where I would try and skip school. I'd try and be sick. I didn't want to do certain things, and I didn't want to have a job at times, even though I earned money, of course. But I just feel like it's really taken for granted there. Whereas when I'm in a developing country now, I can see like how...
Ooh. Did she actually say I am in a developing country now? I believe that some of my Australian subscribers will jump around like a kangaroo in the room. Like, what? She actually did say this?
for granted there, whereas when I'm in a developing country now, I can see like how much of an impact school and education and having a great job really has on your life. There are people who are really struggling here, and you're seeing a lot more poverty in this country, whereas in Australia, I just feel like things are taken for granted more. People whine more about things. And
okay, I did not understand her correctly. She was talking about a developing country, South Africa. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I take back.
Moan more about things that just like aren't important. And I've kind of learned that a lot these last couple of years, of just like, I need to be grateful for what I've been given and what I have in this life, because there are so many people who do not have that opportunity to even have a job or go to school or have certain things. And I just feel like even kids in Australia just like really privileged, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it also means that you're protected from a lot, and maybe a little bit more, if I can use the word, spoiled. Not all, of course, but that was just my experience of that.
Protected. Well, she just said in the previous point, the freedom that the kids have. So what is it? Are they protected, or is it the freedom? What?
Now, the last point is sort of a silly one, number 13. If you're not into snakes and spiders and big bugs, do not go to Australia, because there are a lot of spiders, a lot of big snakes, and they are everywhere. They will come into your house. Of course, South Africa is very similar. But if you're trying to move from a country like Germany or another European country, it can be quite a shock, because there are massive huntsman spiders. There are deadly spiders like the redback spider. There are really venomous snakes. And so sometimes it's a bit of a shock when you come across these creatures.
Yeah, as far as I know, when I did a video about the dangerous animals in Australia, I had a lot of comments. I read a lot of comments that saying, I'm living here for 50 years and I only have seen one venomous spider, and never in my life have seen a venomous snake, because they live in the big cities. So, yeah. If you're living in the outback, then I can guess that you will see and meet a regular base spiders. But I've seen Aussies telling me, I've never seen this kind of spider or that kind of snake, and I lived all my life already in Australia. And so it's a silly one. It's good to be warned about, but seeing a lot of them is a bit exaggerated.
You get used to them, I guess. You can kind of appreciate them from a distance, maybe. Every little animal has something to do in this ecosystem. I understand that. But there are a lot of creepy crawlies. So ending on that note, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. We got to... Come on. Okay. Not the video that I expected to be. So she is an Australian who has moved 9 years ago to South Africa and is now comparing life in South Africa with her life in Australia. She visited sometimes Australia in the last couple of years. So, okay. I reckon that there will be a lot of comments. And I have to read them all. Oh, oh boy. Well, if you enjoyed this video like I did, then like the video. And if you want to see more of my videos, then this is a good point to start with. And otherwise, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching this video. And see you in the next Australian video.